Reverend Rob Lee. Bold, smart, and straight to the point. This is Tarot with an Attitude.
Hot.
Yes, you are. And it's time you acknowledged it. Everybody, welcome.
Hey.
Here we are on Crossing Realms Together. Reverend Rob Lee and the fantabulous Exorcist with the mostest, Laura Van Tyne. How are you, ma'am?
Was that on air?
Yeah, it probably was.
Okay, so the fireplace, the wood stove, it's like super hot upstairs right now.
Yeah.
So,
and it's okay, everybody. Don't freak out. My wife's listening. Okay. So, and she's just sitting there going, yeah, that's him. Okay.
Shaking her head. Okay.
Yeah. She puts up with so much. But welcome, everybody. And Miss Laura, you and I have not talking since talking.
I know. It's been a while.
Okay. We have not talked since right before Thanksgiving. What's happening? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
You know what? I did. I got to spend it with one of my daughters, which was totally fun. We went hiking on the Central California coast and stuff like that. And
cool.
Yeah, it was really good.
Cool. Well, that's good. Yeah, one of my boys came in, so we had a good time. So, one of the reasons I kind of, we were talking and with the, let me say hi to Mark. Mark, how you doing? There's a whole bunch of people. Sherry, good evening. First time catching alive. Well, we're glad you're here, Sherry. Deborah, good to see you.
There we go.
They're all catching up now as they all come in, and that's okay. But, you saw on Friday night after, I did a show with Chastity, okay?
I caught some of that, yeah.
Yeah, and and addictions are something, as much as I say I don't want to deal with it anymore or anything like that, I'm always drawn into it, and it's near and dear to my heart, and those people are near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and that's where we kind of went when I was thinking about, okay, you and I haven't even gotten to touch bases tonight, okay, about what are we going to talk about? And a lot of these things with depression and things like that start with whispers in the dark. And we don't know where these voices are coming from and things like that. So I thought we might touch on that tonight as we go into the holidays with how dark entities and whatnot can play with us and maybe setting up a protection.
I love it.
Got something you want to throw out there?
Yep. This is what I do all day long, every day.
I know, and you're very good at it.
And absolutely, and the goal is to get this information out there. It's simply helpful, right? And like you say at the end of every show, take what you want, leave what you don't, right?
Right.
And addictions are a spiritual issue more than anything else, right? And I know we can agree on that.
Yep.
And the issue is with an addiction, we treat the parts, not the whole.
Correct.
This is why, let's just take somebody like Britney Spears, for example. How many times has she been in and out of rehab, right?
Exactly.
Are they addressing the spiritual side of the issue? I don't know, but I would tend to think maybe not so much. So when we can start addressing that spiritual issue, because an addiction is just something that's trying to fill in a hole.
It is. And you know what? That was one of the reasons I left some of my state licensing behind, different things like that. When I was working with it, and folks, we need to understand addiction can be to anything. And I put a little snippet out of something I said, and I think you've heard me say it before, that codependency does not have to be a substance. It can be on human beings. Mm-hmm. It can be on conspiracies. It can be on anything that we've latched onto. And if we're not getting in touch with it, we feel like we're lost, And I have said all along, I think codependency on other people is one of the largest diseases we have in this country. And, Seashells, thank you so much. You are so awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Man, see, everything's loading up. I got to try to get everybody on here. But so folks, as we talk about addictions a little bit tonight, or the whispers in the dark. This can actually be talking about depression. It can be talking about attachments from dark entities to you, attempted possessions, things that stop you from functioning. Laura, am I saying that right?
You are. What we're looking at is how do we create a healthier soul? Because when our soul is healthy, it makes it harder for them to knock us down, to get into us. And so we're looking at discarnate entities. We're looking at dark entities. It's so complicated, but yet the problem is the same, right?
Yep.
And, and free spirit, I have to hand it to you because that's a huge admission, and it's not a judgment. I mean, no. I can never judge somebody's addiction. I don't know the shoes they've walked in. And is this part of the problem with addictions, is that there's so much judgment thrust upon people?
It's crazy. And that's what I find funny about addictions. And we talk about different addictions, but alcoholism I'm an alcoholic. Okay. Or I have alcoholism. You're an addict. Okay. Addicted is addicted, whether it's to fried chicken and mashed potatoes, okay, or whether it's the gambling or anything like that. Addiction is addiction. And free spirit, one of the things I want you to understand, all right, I feel like smoking's coming down in my level of difficulties, okay, because it's not as socially accepted anymore, but you can walk in anywhere and buy it. People see you, they may just give you a dirty look and walk on or walk around you or whatnot, all right, but it's still acceptable, all right. Gambling, because 20 minutes up the road, and where I can come in with you at, my granddaddy had a gambling addiction. My mom, I always say she is was the luckiest person on the planet. I'm like, Mom, why aren't you playing bingo with enemy? Because you're just all the time lucky. She said, remember your granddaddy? His blood runs through my veins. And while I have fun doing it every now and then, if I started, I won't stop. And we have to recognize these things because that dopamine feed is huge. All right. But a lot of times we got to find that root cause. So I'm babbling. I'm sorry. We got to.
No, you're right though, and it's also I kind of want to talk about the concept of I am an alcohol addict. I am this. What if we change the verbiage somehow? Because words have power. I'm working through a gambling addiction. What if we change the verbiage? So the same thing with I have cancer. Well, if you say I have cancer, it owns you, right?
Right.
So what if I'm working through it or I'm doing something? What if we start to change the verbiage?
Whatever.
Yeah. And it's not to make it any lighter because these are hard. This is hard stuff. And I remember years ago, one of my neighbors was a pretty serious alcohol addict. And he was a construction worker, which is not a good combination, right?
Right.
And he ended up getting really drunk one night and shooting himself. And I found him in my bedroom closet. I might have shared this a while back. I'm not sure. And I'm like, I didn't even know the guy died, right? I had no clue. I'm like, what the heck? What are you doing here? His name, Tom. And he's like, I tried to medicate what I was seeing all the time. So he was seeing all these things out of the corner of his eyes. They were harassing him. They were hurting him. They were choking him. And he could see them coming in and out of the riverbank where he lived. And he drank to escape. And then it became a habit. And then he shot himself. And I'm saying, well, why did you shoot yourself? And he says, I didn't mean to shoot myself. I meant to shoot them. And right?
Right.
This is where the dark side. And he says, ever since I killed myself, and by the way, his son found him, his young son, to make it even more traumatic.
Oh, good.
And he felt horrible about that. He's watching this whole thing as a ghost energy. He didn't know what to do. He fled to my house because he felt safe there. The dark things couldn't get in my house.
Right.
So anyways, long story short, I crossed him over, but his addictions were actually paranormal and spiritual in nature. He started drinking because when they moved into that house was super haunted, and it came from the riverbank.
Gotcha.
I didn't know. And so that's, another aspect of what an addiction can do to somebody. They're trying to numb themselves.
Exactly. Hey guys, real quick, I'm Donna and Deborah are saying my volume's kind of low. I've just made an adjustment. Tell me if that helped fix it or not. Okay, I'll be waiting for y'all's response. But, Laura, you and I have talked about this before. And, I have said oftentimes we look at somebody walking down the street prior to cell phones and they're talking away and gabbing away. We're like, oh, they're crazy. These voices can appear. Okay, good. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it. Turn my mic volume up just a little. I'm gonna bump it just a little more and make sure that this mic, because
we didn't have our time to chit chat beforehand.
No, we didn't. See, all right, let's go. All right, I screwed up, gang. Okay, and I told Laura I took care of everything.
Hey, you know what? Ready? I am so good, believe me.
Oh, no. But I told her I was good for 9:00. And she believed everything the Rev said. And when I said, hey, it's 8:30, she's like, you said 9. I'm like, uh-oh. Oh. Yeah, I did.
So by the way, I still have wet hair. And it was so cute. Somebody made a comment last week. Somebody made a comment the other day, the last show we did. It's like, oh, your hair looks great. I'm like, oh, that's so funny, because I didn't tell them that. I said, I forgot to brush my hair before the show. This time it's wet. So there you go.
Me too.
Yes, exactly.
So, but, and what I see a lot is these voices, these things, they amp up during the holidays. Yes. Because the holidays are such an emotional time. Have you seen in your experience, have you seen these things kind of ramp up during the holidays?
Absolutely. So what we have is, first of all, karma becomes amplified these last 2 months of the year, because we're doing all kinds of things. We're dealing with families, we're dealing with emotions, we're dealing with finances. Can I afford the holidays, right? That's a big concern for a lot of people. Right. And how do I, manage to go to all the in-laws and all the step, this and that. And, you get stretched so thin. And, there's a family that, I know that actually does their holidays on off days. So that way all the kids don't have to be stretched so thin. So that's a big part of it. And these voices in the heads, and this is a form of possession. We think of possession as something constantly going through the body and taking over the body, which is a thing too, but there's degrees of possession where this dark entity or discarnate person, somebody who is not in a physical body, non-corporeal, gets into the body and starts to take over, and they vie for competition over who gets to be in front, so to speak. It's a real thing. And removing them and sending them over back home to God, source, heaven, higher realms is what is needed. I keep saying this, recycling is not going to fix the planet, but crossing over the dead will. Because
and I agree with you, having people, and what's funny is I started kind of pulling some cards, and I'm only going to show 2 that I'm pulling 2, because I was like, I want to know more about this. I want spirit to weigh in on this. And so the first card I got, believe it or not, was when you were talking about, is the star card. Okay. Here, let me do it this way if you don't care. That way people can actually see the card better or whatnot. But there we are. Okay. It's the star. All right. And if you'll notice, a lot of times what happens is, and the way these voices can work and the way some of these different levels of possession, we take our eye off of the star, and we start looking down. We start looking at the ground. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And in here, one of the things I just got, and I was like, I'm really getting goosebumps, is we start trying to please too many other people. And therefore, we start getting, our brain starts in a downward plummet. Our spirit starts in a downward plummet. And everything starts getting clouded. And next thing you know, we're second guessing ourselves. Now, one of the key things here, okay, is what we forget. We've got a card 55, all right? This is an oracle deck, all right? It reminds us that we have to keep our eyes up and reminded about the abundance that flows around us. When the darkness comes in, and these spirits, these entities will make you be blind to what you actually have. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's about the card with the star.
Yeah.
You can also look at it as going to the light, right? And the number 17 is a very sacred number too. So going to the light, and if we feel like we have something attached to us, it's our responsibility ultimately to cross that attachment over. It's hard when it's yourself. So it's easier for me to work on you, Reverend Rob, than it is myself. Or, maybe it's just how that works. And that's okay. We can still do it, right?
Right.
I've got a couple of people that I'm exceptionally close to, like my kids, and it just makes it harder when they're exceptionally close. But with these addictions, and I love Chastity. I love her honesty. And, guys, go check her out. Go check out that show. She's fantastic. So what we're looking at with addictions, it's also a possession. I had a guy who was mentally disabled who was also an addict. He was addicted to junk food. He weighed about 300 plus pounds, and he wasn't tall, and he was also mentally challenged. So he lived in a home and this and that. And as I'm working on him, I realize he's got some pretty dark German discarnate evil entities attached to him. And this was probably like the first full-on exorcism I ever did. And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? Right? Years ago.
Yeah.
I managed to pull that thing out of this kid's body. And I say kid, he was like 40, 45 or whatever.
Right.
Pull it out of his body and hand it over literally to Jesus and into the light. His eyes changed. I got a call from his parents. You're not going to believe this. He had almost like a form of Tourette's where he like starts screaming for no reason.
Right.
It wasn't Tourette's, but it was like he'd just start screaming. That stopped. His eyes went from black, and I think we've all seen these eyes, these black eyes that really have nothing in them. They're vacant, right?
Right.
Bright blue. So whatever was in him, it had attached itself, by the way, for several lifetimes.
Right.
And this was the lifetime he got to break free. It was a big deal. But it can change our physical appearance.
Yes, it can. And, I'm reminded, I had a conversation with a gentleman, and I really respect this man. And we were talking about evil and different things and whatnot. And he believes that certain people are born without a soul. I don't believe that. I think everybody is born with a soul, but I think something can attach. Some things will, when they're possessed, all right, it is no longer the human soul that's being represented. And that's where some of these things come about of, what are we opening ourselves up for? And folks, this is why it's so important. I beg people every day, wake up, say good morning to your angel team. Hey, they're going to keep you safe. All right. Yeah. Say good morning to God, the Mother, the Father, the Spirit, the Son, all of them. The divine feminine that's talked about in the Bible in the first 2 chapters. It is right there. This is what we're here for. Absolutely. And I want you to understand, yes, I have seen it. Laura has seen it. where eyes go from black or will literally change color. And then some of you have seen in mugshots on the TV, many of you, thank God, you've never been as close to it as Laura and I have, and mine through 14 years of police work, and then with what I do now, and Laura being an exorcist and everything, it can change you. And an addiction, I have had people that I worked with walk up to me and were clean 9 months later. I didn't recognize them.
Right? Yeah.
And it wasn't just clear skin. It wasn't, their whole countenance had changed. And yes, so if you're wondering if somebody in your family or somebody's going through it, you need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm gonna throw a little plot twist to you about, everybody's born with a soul.
Okay.
Absolutely. However, not all babies are heaven sent.
Okay.
The dark side can reincarnate us as well. It doesn't mean that person is a bad person. It means that their life between lives, that they were caught in a net, and the dark side now has access to that soul. I see that a lot.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that all is lost for that person. It means they have to work really hard because their spiritual team may not be of the light, and they have to fight to break it and change it themselves. It's breaking the chains is what I talk about. It happens more often than not. I mean, we look at somebody and they're a really good person and their life's a SHIT show and that kind of stuff. What's going on? How do we fix this? The other part is sometimes people are not born with an entire human soul intact. And we go back to shamans and think about soul retrieval and stuff like that. That's a thing. So when our soul goes under extreme trauma, either in a physical form in a lifetime or a lifetime between lives, when we deal with a serious trauma and we break free, sometimes we leave a piece of our soul behind because it's a self-preservation for the larger piece of soul. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't mean we can't get that piece back. It's a form of soul retrieval. And, every culture throughout the world has words for that. And that can definitely happen. So those are a couple of things that lend itself to somebody being an addict. Now, just because, somebody may be an addict doesn't mean that they were reincarnated from the lower astral. Bad things happen to good people all the time. And sometimes we need the lessons of what it's like to be an addict. Okay. And so this is one of my more chilling kind of stories. I got a call from a woman. Actually, it was a Facebook message. I don't even know who she was. She's like, I got a problem and I think you can help me. And I'm like, okay. She goes, but I'm not supposed to talk to people like you. I'm like, okay. I'm a good Christian, she says.
Yep.
Great. I'm wasting my time. Okay, fine. But she said that one of her neighbors' babies had died. And the story was that the parents were addicts, and this baby soul came in to change their life path. And the parents failed. The parents left the baby in a baby swing outside, and it died of exposure. It was 6 months old. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so horrifying. And yes, it is horrifying. So I find the baby soul, I work with her, and the baby soul was this like wise old man, okay? It was crazy, but it gave me a perspective. The baby said, it chose to come down here to these parents to wake them up, to get them to change their ways. They failed themselves. They did not fail me. Out of the mouth of a 6-month-old baby, which is what it was not. But I thought that was astounding. So our addictions can teach us things along the way.
And you know what? One of the things I always have to remind people, if we truly believe we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, and I had a talk with somebody today about a belief of mine. Everybody's like, where's your soul? Well, I believe the soul exists between the brain and the heart. It's more in this area right here, and more right here in the throat chakra, where everything comes out. That's where we communicate and everything. Because if our soul was in our brain, we would have no problems controlling it. All right.
Good point.
If you think about it, you're like, why am I doing this? And we've all been there, why am I doing this? I don't want my heart to break. Why does my heart? Well, if you're when you start thinking about yourself and the way your brain works and your feelings work, they're always coming from a different point in your body than where your thought process or where you're actually thinking about this is coming from. Does that make sense?
It does. I consider it to be in the same area. I call it the heart is the seed atom of the soul is what.
Okay.
Just my same area, right?
Exactly.
And you're absolutely right.
Yeah, one of the things I tell people is, so you got to remember when you're going through it and you're like, I lose all the time. When is it coming my way? Before you give in to all that dark energy and negative energy, you need to remember we chose to be here. And at some point, what's the only purpose of being in a human existence? Emotions and physical feeling. Other than that, if we retract all that, we've got spirit, and that's it. And we don't need body for everything else. Only thing we need body for is this emotional experience in here. I firmly believe, just like you said, so this baby came as a guide to try to help them reattach. The baby didn't fail. They failed. All right. And unfortunately, does this mean, are they destined to repeat this again? I don't believe firmly in reincarnation, that you have to keep coming back till you get everything right. But I do believe there are things like, okay, if they missed that lesson,
big one, right?
I hope they picked it up someplace else down the road, okay? Or when they do return to source, these are some people that might need to be crossed over.
Well, that's the key. Those people, we have to make sure they cross over, because the dark side will grab them in a heartbeat. And then they do it all over again, and it creates more havoc, more drama, more trauma. But if we can put them in the hands of the light side, in the hands of God, it stops that karmic cycle.
Right. Are
they off scot-free? Absolutely not. But it's above my pay grade to figure that out. Okay. I got other stuff to do. Yeah. So it's, I had a past life regression. So I do past life regressions quite often, and they're always fascinating. I never know what's going to happen. And I had this guy, he's about 45 or so, and he was like an addict almost all of his life. And if I've shared the story, let me know. But he says to me, I finally got clean, and I'm so scared to go back. I want to know why I was an addict. Do you think a past life regression can help me? And I'm like, can't hurt to try. Okay. So we get into this past life regression, and he is out. I mean, he's down. And usually I've never had one before, and I've never had one since. Okay. And it started out with him in a very low voice, monotone voice. I was a very, very bad man. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no kidding.
And what had happened was, in his most recent past life, and a past life regression is designed to help us break through blockages, to do some really deep healing. There's, getting answers to things like, why am I always lost in love, or why do I whatever. Okay. So this is what one of the many things a past life regression can do. It's up to the spirit guides and the higher realms to decide what information they're allowing to share, because we need to have a certain veil around us to have these experiences, to learn some stuff. The Cliff Note version isn't always ideal. So he says, I'm a very, very bad man. I'm like, ooh, okay. He, in his past life, lived in Chicago during the time of Al Capone.
Okay.
And what he did was he became a drug dealer to the inner city Black kids in Chicago. And he created a whole generation of addicts in Chicago. And he preyed upon one specific group. And again, this is Black Al Capone, okay? And in that lifetime, he had a wife and a couple of kids that lived out in the country in a big, beautiful mansion. And he had a townhouse or whatever downtown Chicago with the shack up honey. And he had the perfect life, so to speak, but not, right?
Right.
And in that lifetime, he was executed at the current age he is now.
Okay.
But in this lifetime, his first drug dealer was at the age of 14, which was the age he preyed upon, to a black kid at his school in this lifetime. So this is both sides of the coin presenting itself, right? He had to have the experience to know what havoc he caused in that lifetime. And now he knew. It's a way also that karma was sort of paying it back. He was paying it back. He was atoning in an odd way. Karma never has a timeline.
No.
Karma just seeks balance, but it explains.
There can be a family karmic debt that if you don't pay that, like mine came from my great grandparents on my dad's side, and it had to do a lot with you talk about skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
There's literally skeletons in the closet. Okay. Stemming back, 2 generations beyond me or 3 generations, and stuff that I know my grandfather on my dad's side did. And one of the things I experienced was learning, and when I started recycling my mind and breaking free and whatnot, I would have moments of sheer crying when nobody knew about it, things like that, because, and this little Indian dude was so cool. He walked up to me and sat me down and he goes, I've been through the whole thing about who are you, but the other thing he asked me is, you have a karmic debt that's been passed down to you by your grandparents. And I knew it wasn't on my mom's side of the family. I mean, they're like, yeah, my granddad liked, he liked alcohol and but he would give you the shirt off of his back. He was one of the nicest guys in the world. And lo and behold, all things started coming to fruition, so that my wife will tell you in our next year, we will have been married 10 years. Okay. And been together 14, I think. Okay. She has watched me spin through this of learning some of the stuff that I had to break free from my family to help solve this karmic debt, or I would be leaving that for my children. And it is something that they would have to deal with. And yes, that karmic debt can get passed on from generation to generation, because karma is energy writing itself.
Yeah.
That's all it is,
Yep. And it's when I work with somebody and we're dealing with the generational stuff, I look through their spiritual DNA, and it kind of almost presents itself in front of me as a matrix. Right. And I'm looking for these miasms or these dark spots in that spiritual DNA, because that's exactly what that is. And when we can work through it with intention, without the emotion, if we can let the emotion go, because the emotion's irrelevant, right? We're here to solve a problem. Just solve the problem. It makes a big difference. It's freeing, and it frees those future generations up as well, which is the best gift we can give.
Absolutely. Because, and here's hey, Rex, how you doing? League project in the house. All right, everybody, I'll be doing live readings with him on the 11th on League Project. So everybody get that geared in. But, Free Spirit, you're asking a great question. How do you find your karmic debt? Some of it you may need to work with somebody like Laura or myself to help you go back, find it. But generally, I know in the couple of cases that I have dealt with, what it turned out to be was more of a embarrassing family secret, or something about your family that you're not proud of. Especially, you can go back for generations. Somebody was cheated. Somebody was, something happened, or whatnot. And now, can you go back and fix all that? No, you cannot. All right. But when you feel these needs, like I give money like crazy, my wife's like, and she She says she doesn't care, but I think I hear my MBA part of my wife going, there he goes again. He had to take a social work thing. I grew up, you don't give people money on the street, you don't. And now that's part of my thing is boom. And I've had people say, well, he's going to go buy drugs with that. Well, number one, 9 times out of 10, that's not what they're doing. They're going to buy a smoke. Okay. So I've literally told people, go buy the $1 packs of cigarettes. All right. The cheap ones that, your drug dealer wouldn't even use. Okay. They will kill for them. That number one, that's their first thing they do with it. And I found this through working with the homeless. All right. And through addictions. But one of the things you have to realize is once you hand that money over, you are no longer responsible for, you have started to write a karmic debt. Now that karma flows to them, what they do with that money is their issue, not mine. Because everything becomes a choice. When you see somebody, my wife will tell you, I don't do bullies. I don't like bullies. I will go to war with you if I catch you bullying somebody. It doesn't matter. Okay. That's part of my karmic debt about people not being able to take care of themselves because I know what happened through my family history. And then I watched it perpetuate. So what do you think on that?
The ability to give money to somebody like that, we're there. First of all, a lot of times, many of us have, I'm going to say, call it mitigated free will.
Correct.
Right. So if we're being puppeted or, haunted, our free will actions are mitigated sometimes. So looking at it from that lens, it's balancing karma is a big deal. And if somebody is really suffering, they're on the streets, they're homeless, and I don't live that far from Portland.
Right.
And it's awful there. I mean, you're looking at people who are fentanyl zombies. It's awful. And, the state government did this. They passed some stupid measure that said you can have any illegal substance you want. In what comes fentanyl. And so a lot of these people they don't have a chance. They're so fried. Their souls are out of their bodies. And it's beyond repair in a lot of ways. And the goal is that when they do die, we need to make sure they cross over. So when I work with somebody who has been an addict, for example, and they've been in the trenches or whatever that is, the first thing I do when I work with somebody is we do a form of spiritual service, and we look around the energy field for any souls that are stuck between heaven and earth. Okay, gotcha. Ghosts. That's the first thing I always do. So if somebody's an addict, they're in resonance with addiction, which means it's an opportunity for us to pull in a lot of souls who died as an addict and cross them over. That's a big deal. I've cleaned out whole encampments before with people. So every client offers a different opportunity to help the dead, because when we can cross over the dead, we get to help so many other people living and beyond, and it robs the dark side of fuel. We don't need them. They need us. Those are parasites.
I agree. And now let me tell you something. While you were talking, I'm going to flip back over here real quick. I was asking a question. Mm-hmm. Somebody with an addiction, or if you're trying to figure out your karmic debt, and not everybody has one. All right. Right. Karma will happen. Things will happen. A deep karmic debt can come from, like I said, generations back. And the card that I got here, and is to remind everybody, okay, is the Empress. So my question was, what can somebody do that's in that dark spot? And what I really got, and it's weighing on me right now to get this point across. Every day, we all have an opportunity to create something beautiful. It doesn't matter what we did yesterday. What matters is what you do today. And to be able, that three, that trinity, to realize I can plant new harvest. I can plant new life. I can grow. I can go back to infancy with my spirituality. And, this is one of those things where, who was it? It was Free Spirit. If you don't know what it is, but when you have that drive to go out and go, what am I supposed to do today? That's karma pushing you in that direction to help you balance the karmic debt. Does that make sense, Laura?
It does. Perfect sense. And as I'm looking at that card, I got an additional perspective. It's just additional. Is that
that's fine.
When we're dealing with addictions, that card is reminding us to call in our angels to me. So you've got the mother figure, the child. So you're the child. Bring in your angels. Okay, angels, I need your help. Call in as many as you want. The angels are the most underutilized resource we have.
Very much so. Very much so.
But they can't help us unless we ask for their help, because they are not allowed to mitigate our free will. The dark side doesn't give a crap. The angels have to abide by spiritual law. So ask them. You're going to come in, and it's as simple as this. I'm requesting a team of angels, and don't shortchange yourself. I'm requesting 100. I'm requesting 1,000 angels from the higher realms only to come in, to protect me, to guide me, to assist me, to help to remove this addiction that no longer serves me, to help me with my actions so I can make a better choice. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's okay. Giving yourself grace is a big deal. But that card was showing me the power of angels on top of it. Bring in your angels.
I can't agree with you anymore. And the idea where a lot of people, what they forget is they feel alone and they don't feel like they can or their inner conscious, that ego, the id deep down inside is going, no, you can't ask for help. You don't deserve it. Nobody's really there. You can't see them. You are never alone. It is us that step away from spirit, but only in communication. We can never leave spirit, God, the mother. We can never leave it behind. It's all around us. Wow, I'm getting the goosebumps.
Yeah, you know what else?
What's that?
There's more of them than there are humans.
Exactly.
There's also more dark entities than there are humans, okay?
Right. So I got that message, so I was asking, and they're like, it's this simple. Wow. 3 of the most major cards in this deck, okay? We have the Empress that we were talking about. And folks, look here, 10 of Swords. Everybody's like, no. What Spirit is telling us right now in this card with me, with Laura, right here, okay? We are allowed to let our old self go and let a new self fly. Find your wings and fly, bangarang, and start over, because that is how we've got the 9 of coins. That is how you're going to manifest something beautiful in this world and in the spirit world. I mean, just realize what you've got. And one of the things, it was funny, I had this vision. Everybody's like, well, I've been so bad, spirit angels, they won't, no, they're right there. And I say spirits and angels and God, they do the 2-step better than everybody, because they're with us. They're always learning, whoop, we're backing up here today. Okay. We're going forward today. Oh no, we're backing up. We're hitting the brakes or whatnot. And Laura, I think what you said is absolutely, if you want to live that full life, you have to have, if you're believing in a spirit life, in a spirit world, you have to reach out and make contact with your angels, with your guides, with the connection to spirit, and make it real.
And use discernment as well.
Yes.
So don't look for, in my world, I deal with a lot of shapeshifters. I deal with imposter beings, holograms. So there's a really easy technique you can use to vet your spiritual team, angels, everybody else. And by the way, If you find or figure out you've got an imposter being, don't think you weren't worthy. Think, thank God I dodged a bullet. Okay.
Right.
And there have been times where I'm working with clients where the light side will let dark entities in and become imposters, so the client can know and feel the difference. Like, oh, that one didn't quite look the same as the others, or the angle was off, or something was going on there. So vet them. You can pour salt. You visualize yourself pouring salt on them or frankincense oil on them. Again, Jesus was gifted frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Let's use it, people. And it wasn't just because it smells good or it's worth a lot of money. It's their high frequency substances. He did not use sage. He wants the three magi, very high frequency. So vet your teams, vet your angels every single time. I do it every single time. I never blindly trust. Blind trust gets us in trouble in every dimension.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And folks, this is where too, and once you make these connections, you will feel a shift in your energy. You will feel things that should put your dander up. This is intuition. We have that, oh, I'm going to go to the other side of the street. This guy coming this way just kind of give me a creepy feeling. That's intuition. We have it for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. and follow it. But we need that with the spirit too, because there are times when people want, like we've talked so much times about, we don't need to kidnap a spirit. They need to go back to God. It is not their purpose when they die to come hang around us. All right. And make us feel better. That's selfish. They need to go on back to God's source. Then at that point, they will have a choice of what they want to do. And
there's guidance, there's lessons learned, there's counselors, divine wisdom, all sorts of beings there to help you understand the life you lived.
Exactly.
And that's just a part of the process, but we got to get them there. And I'm really glad that you brought up this concept of addiction, because right now with the holidays coming up, it becomes a very excruciating, lonely time for a lot of people.
It does.
And I know that firsthand. I'll be honest with you. I really know that firsthand. It can be rough. Nobody is immune, but you know what? From those times, I learned so much. I learned so much about who I am, what I'm looking for. It was not easy, and it was extremely lonely. Literally, I was all alone for a while.
Yep. You know what? When I'm working with somebody, and it reminds me very much of the holidays, and they're 3 months clean, 5 months clean. All right. I generally don't worry about them too much. All right. Because they're happy. They're actually coming up to me going, I got to pay my bills. They're happy to pay bills. Yeah. And here's what I want people to understand. The holidays is like hitting that 8-month mark. All the parties, and whether you're addicted to gambling or whatever it is, if you don't have these places to go to get fellowship from fellow human beings, it can start weighing you down. And I have literally had, when I start worrying about people, is when they start crossing that 8-month mark of sobriety, because paying your bills is no longer fun anymore. It's just part of life. And I have literally had them walk up to me and go, 8 months clean. Rob, you did it. I see no reason at this point in my life to stay sober. Life is not fun. And you try to talk to them and everything else, but that karma's on them. All right. If I can't break through and find out what trauma, why do you feel this way? All right. And that's where a lot of people, where addiction comes in, they don't understand it. The dopamine rush, okay, that triggers everything good. Why do you think we have so many adrenaline junkies? They are just as much of an addict, because if you take some of that away, they're not going to know what to do with themselves. Because now they've got to find that dopamine feed.
Yep.
Okay. And that's very, very important. So I want the tribe. I want everybody. Number one, reach up, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I don't care if you're on Laura's channel, my channel, or whose channel. Okay. hit that button for us. Make sure, because we're going to keep going on. Those things are good, you know. But this is one of those things. Oh, look who popped in. I missed her. Monica, good to see you. Glad everybody's here. Yeah, everybody's talking and whatnot.
Yep.
But it's important when you start to feel down, if you have somebody you can call them. Don't let pride keep you from saying, hey, I just need a boost for the next hour. Okay? This really got to me. All right? It's one of those things. We had actually toyed with at one point making a bar. Okay? A total bar. Pool tables, dartboards, music, smoking, everything. But all of the beverages would be non-alcoholic. Because it wasn't just the drink a lot of people missed, it was the energy.
And the socialization. And
the same thing we do. And now your energy doesn't match up with other people that aren't overboard with it.
Well, there's a lot of pressure during the holiday parties, etc. If you're suffering from addiction, to hide your addiction by participating, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. There's so much power in these little babies, right? Yes, Donna, absolutely. We can send and receive energy. You know, why do we shake hands? It's not to be nice.
No,
we're trying to feel feel their energy. Or do we trust this person? Are they slimy? Are they, wishy-washy? Whatever. So these hands, these have tiny chakras in them called nadi, and we can utilize them along with those archangels to assist us. That's a great story, Donna. That's awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And Donna, you know that energy that I'm talking about, whenever you hear me, we create the room and I bring energy down from above. And, Reiki Schmakey, once you learn what it all is, okay, you're doing Reiki when we heal people, and when we get into the room and we all come together and we bring the light from above, the light from below, as above, so below, and we make it radiate and we start to go, we're energy healing. That's what we're doing. Okay. So imagine that you can do the same thing. Everybody can. All right. And I think that's one of the things Jesus was here to teach us, because he healed with energy. He talked about when one point he wasn't going to heal anymore. He was tired. And this lady slipped up and grabbed the hem of his garment. And he said, I felt it run out of me. This is healing. All right. And we can do it. We have to have faith that it works. You have to see it happening. So when I say picture a white light, and y'all see me doing this a lot of times, you will feel energy in your hands as you bring your hands slow together. It's your own energy. Okay. You will feel that little, like something's getting tighter, and you're like, well, that's just the air. The air's free to flow. All right. Grab that energy, okay? And you can do that with your dogs. You can do it with cat. You can do it from a distance. You can do it here. Folks, that's what I want you. Donna, again, so many healers that are out there that don't know they're a healer, or they think there's some huge trick to it. I had to be taught by Reiki Master 90.
Okay,
drives me nuts.
I have an issue with Reiki Masters, because anybody who studies Reiki, they're automatically a master. What other profession does that?
Yeah.
And by the way, they don't teach the Reiki people how to clear themselves of negative energies or dark energy entities. And so that baggage hangs on to them. And so I get a lot of clients that are former Reiki practitioners. And I hesitate to use the word master, because Jesus Christ was a master.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not dissing the Reiki concept, because it's about energy and healing, but we have to understand that when we're helping somebody, we're, shifting their energy field. The gunk has to go somewhere. Right. So let's put it in a virtual, in an etheric hazmat bag. Okay. Hand it out.
That's what I show people. And I told them, I've surrounded the room with angels. I say right out, nothing's allowed to come out that's not of the light. Different things. We cut anything that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because again, anytime you have an energy exchange, if you're not protecting yourself, which a lot of empathic people don't understand yet. So they bring all that crap home with them. And you cannot allow somebody else's negative energy to come home and affect you and your spouse.
By the way, that's a form of self-abuse. You incur negative karma for that.
We do. Because now, what do we say? Karma is energy trying to balance itself. Once we bring that in, now we have to go even more above board to try to bring it back. Okay.
Yep.
And when you are charged and this negative energy sucked, now you correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Once this negative energy and you feel like you're sucked down into a pit or a hole and you're like, why am I so tired? I'm all beat up and everything else. It will exhaust you.
It does. It creates a leak in our energy system. It's a siphon. And I've seen these, people have these siphons on them that they're etheric, but it drains their energies and they have to be disconnected and they have to be healed. Those spots have to be healed. And I basically use white light, but I turn it into a gel because I find that to be more effective. Gel is stickier and it lasts longer than just pure white light. So, but it makes a difference. So don't take on other people's junk. Don't go over the waterfall with them if they're having a hugely emotional day. You can stand strong. If you feel that you cannot disconnect from the emotion and you start to become over emotional. Yeah. Black tourmaline is awesome, by the way. Wash your hands up to your wrists in cold water. Okay. It breaks the mind. Using orange essential oil shifts the brain chemistry to let go. Black tourmaline is great. What I really like about black tourmaline, because I'm a lazy person, is it doesn't have to be cleared. I also like elite shungite quite a bit too, because it actually absorbs a lot of the Wi-Fi energy. So, my jewelry, my stones, all that, they have jobs to do.
Absolutely. And I will say this, what you can do with black tourmaline, all right, is if all of a sudden you see it flaking, it's not getting old. Sometimes it's full of negative energy.
And it's just
go outside, find a great place, dig a little hole, bury it in the hole, let it sit for 24 hours. Okay. They're from the earth. The earth will bring that energy out and let it know. And then you can come back and get it the next day and pour salt on it, do whatever you want to do. But that is a good way to cleanse almost any crystal.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, tourmaline's awesome.
I have 120-pound chunk of it.
We have bags of it that at one point I had
it's huge.
table in a studio that looked like a huge planchette with a glass top.
Yeah.
We filled it with tourmaline, angelite.
Oh, isn't that cool? Yeah.
Oh yeah. A whole bunch of different things, and that's what's going on. Yeah, folks, you can use many different things. And this is one of the things to remember. God gave us these things to use. All right. We're not saying they replace God. Laura would never say they replace.
They're just tools.
Right. They're tools that we have been given to use. Okay. And that's huge. Know your tools. Gillian, my wife, if y'all want to talk to her, and I've got 2 or 3 people keep telling me I need to get her on for a show because she is a certified crystal healer. She uses crystals for healing and everything else, but she also is in touch with spirit. It's not okay. Because if she could fix me by hitting me in the head with a crystal,
with that big crystal wand,
yeah, probably one about this big, that would be. So if y'all ever read about me being beaten to death, at night,
we're just going to call up 2x4.
I was just trying to heal him. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so says the police report.
Exactly. I love black tourmaline and snowflake obsidian. Absolutely. So many different things. Yeah. Thanks. Great information. Absolutely. But I love all my crystals and stones. Yes. Now, let's talk about something here.
All right.
Make sure when you go get your stones, okay, and your crystals, and they look great on the bedroom table or the bedstand, you know what you're putting yourself around yourself and the frequencies you are. Because when you sleep, you are very open to different things or whatnot. And, some of the stuff is down in my office. Rob, I'm having these crazy dreams, and Gillian and I will go in the house, and there's a massive chunk of amethyst on the headboard. Well, gee whiz, all right? That's for your third eye. Wonder what's going on there. Can we move that out here and let's find something more calming? Maybe some pink tourmaline or pink quartz, something for the heart, the warmth that doesn't work all of your head chakras while you're sleeping. So really make sure you understand when you wrap something around your neck, when you drop it. My wife, I don't ever have to worry about anybody feeling her up. They're going to get broken fingers because her bra is loaded with rocks. Okay. She's probably going, oh, there you go. See, I told y'all, my wife's an angel for putting up with me. All right. But you need to understand, she will know everything that she puts on her body or allows. She'll catch me going, why are you wearing that? Well, I was just drawn to it. Okay. Why? I don't know. I was just drawn to it. And
the why is the best part of our life. Got to know the why.
That's it. So, different things. Laura, is there anything you want to talk? We got other people here.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on crystals. Oh my gosh.
Let's do that. And you know what? Yeah. I want you to shame my wife into coming on with us. Okay,
okay, deal.
Because people are wanting to see her again. All right.
That would be fun. That would be
we'd have a good time. We'd have a good time. I love them all. Crystals are great. Just know what they are, know what they do.
And their jobs.
I would love a show with Gillian and Crystal. See, there we go.
There we go.
People. All right. Oh my God. Yes. So many things should not be next to your bed. Hey,
and sometimes
let's not get personal. All right. Love you, babe. So, all right, Gillian, it would be awesome to do a show about crystals. We need to do that. And you know what, Laura? So let's do this. We need to plan a show about crystals. Okay. Get Gillian involved, get her on camera. She hates being on camera, but oh well. I'm gonna drag you into it, baby. But this is one of those things. But I think we need to talk about past life regressions too. We mentioned it. So many people are interested in it. The Akashic records, all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that's been polluted, and diluted, all right, about past lives and Akashic. A lot of people think they are a chain, one life attached right to the other. And sometimes there are periods when you're doing a past life where it's like this. What happened? You were back in God's source. Okay.
Oh, I've had that. I've had people show up in the heavens.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. And what I really like
in another dimension, you don't know.
Or other planets, by the way, is another thing. I'm blessed to have the ability to see what the client is seeing during a past life regression. Because I think there's a certain level of, I'm going to call it safety or validation. I don't ever interrupt, but I can see and sense what's going on. And it can be incredible. I mean, I've seen glimpses of the heavens from that. I mean, it's just incredible.
And you know what I want people to realize? You and I talked about this early on when we first started talking. Just because somebody says they can do it doesn't mean they know a damn thing about what they're doing. Yep. I would not do a past life regression with somebody, even though I can do a lot of things. All right. Mm-hmm. I have an unnatural or an uncanny ability to hypnotize, having never taken a course. Okay. It just comes to me natural. But I would never do it until I know exactly what I'm talking about. And we have a lot of people out there playing around in areas that they think they know and they don't. And like we said, when we're doing an energy exchange and you open yourself up and this person doesn't know how to protect you, tell you how to protect yourself or these things. I've also seen people doing past life regressions, and then when they come out of it, they're in a depression.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So because something is either attached, something went wrong, or the person they did it with,
that practitioner was not qualified. And I see that a lot because you can go online and like take a course and now you're an expert. Okay. It doesn't work that way. Now I've studied regressions. I've studied regression therapy. I've taken courses on it. I study it all the time. And also combined with the type of work I do, I tend to get people that have unusual problems or a little bit more sophisticated problems. Okay.
Right.
And I've had people say, oh, I've done past life regressions before and it was awful. It was this, it was that. Use your intuition. Check that person out with your intuition. Ask them questions. Any spiritual practitioner, ask them questions. If your spiritual practitioner has poor health, is always broke, they're whatever, that might not be the best fit. Okay. You want somebody healthy and vibrant because they've got their crap together. All right. It's a big deal. And it doesn't mean that somebody who may be dealing with health issues and stuff, they're still a good person, but it's just not a good fit. If you're going to be looking at clearing entities and energies, that person that you're working with has to be in top-notch shape in every sense of the imagination. And because it's about you and your protection.
Exactly. And that's what, folks, I want you to imagine opening yourself up into your subconscious, letting some things start to flow through. You want that pipe to be clean.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be a sewer pipe. Okay. And there are things that are just looking for that opening. Okay. To find a way to dampen your soul now. Okay. Yeah. And these are things. So yes, I don't want us to get off on a whole new show.
No, but that would be a fun one though. It would be, I think there's a lot to learn and people are curious about a past life regression and what it entails and what should you expect and all that kind of stuff. So that would be fantastic.
Exactly. And folks, and I'm telling you, from my wife will tell you, there are two people that I would allow to do a past life regression on me. One of them is sitting, I forgot, we're mirrored image. One of them is sitting right over there. Okay. The other one is, and a lot of my people know her as Rebecca Gregory. All right. Just again, the pureness of heart, the things like that, the protection or whatnot. And the other thing I will tell you, if you're doing a past life regression and the person that's doing it is talking more than you,
that's a problem.
Massive flag.
Yeah.
Would you not agree with that, Laura?
Yeah. The role of the practitioner is for guidance and support. And a lot of times towards the end of it, what my favorite part about regressions is at the end of it, if there's healing that's allowed, to watch the healing happen. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've had some incredible things happen. I mean, and it wasn't me, it was their higher self, their guides. They were deemed they no longer needed these physical ailments. I mean, it's incredible. I can share those down the road, but miracles are made by man for God, in my opinion.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, that's one of those things where, there are certain things, 7 years of school also taught me whenever I'm working with somebody in these deep recesses, one of the first things they teach you is if you open them up, you got to close them back up before you and too many people are left open.
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, this is purifying, this cleansing, this, and no, it's not. Okay?
No.
And there are things especially when you're opening up traumas and things like this, and we'll talk more about this, I think, in that show. I think it's going to be important. Let's do that. Can we do that Monday or a week from today?
Totally. That would be awesome.
All right.
All right.
Everybody, a week from today, we're going to be doing past life regressions. And then the following week, we will be doing something with my wife, with Laura, about crystals. Okay?
Love it.
That's what we're going to do. Okay? Let's see what's happening. So anything else? Hey, Cats, good to see you. Glad you are here. Yeah, Laura and I don't have the straight up normal perspective, and we don't put all the airy fairy stuff on it. We want you to know that there are some dangers out there but there's some joy out there. There's beautiful things out there that you can do, Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, but I love to take the airy out of the fairy. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, I tried doing that. Oh, everybody. Yeah, no, never mind. That's not me. Can't happen. You know, God gave me sarcasm. It's my birth defect. So I can't, I can't
I like
help
that.
it. So,
I'll borrow that, but I'll credit you.
yeah, go ahead. Everybody, this has been a great night. Thank you. I always love seeing my friend Laura.
Thank you.
And the things that come up. Be here next Wednesday night for this. I'll be live on Monday doing free readings, things like that. Let everybody know. And I'm going to be trying to put a pre-recorded video out with where I pick 3, where you can pick your own cards or do whatever for the weekend. So y'all, maybe Friday night at 9:00, I'll get that, have it done and aired so everybody can do it. Laura, I know we've got your book, and down in the description below is Laura's book, the link to her book. In my links, you will also find links to Laura's spiritual self-defense course. All right? Open up. There's tarot books in there. There's manifestation. There's a lot. So between those two links, go have fun. Happy clicking.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks everybody for tuning in too. I appreciate it, because I know everybody's got other things they could be doing. So appreciate our time with you.
absolutely. Thank y'all very much. And as usual, take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. Bangarang.
Thank you.